we have gathered here today to talk about this beauty. It's so pretty. I'm like looking at it in my viewfinder and it is stunning. That's not all. Hold on. If you guys don't follow me on TikTok, I talked about it. I got it in hardcover too. And literally, I didn't know this when I bought it. I mean, obviously, I don't think anybody did. But the inside of the hardcover is so beautiful. So I'm like super happy that I got the hardcover version because I couldn't not get it. You know, like, they're my babies. They are my babies. I'm gonna stop saying it with that much emphasis. Anyways, so today I asked my TikTok if they wanted to see, or if you guys, both of y'all, I asked my TikTok if it was a wanted thing for me to do a reading vlog for this book. So that's exactly what it's gonna be giving today, y'all. We're doing a reading vlog specifically. That was super floppy. Can we just talk about how floppy this book is? Like, is that not crazy? If I just, like, let all of the... If I just... Dang. Anyways, we're starting it. I know that I'm already going to annotate this like I do every Jessa Hastings book. So I'm going to be picking out an annotating palette for that, and I'm going to show you guys the colors and stuff that I pick. And I know I got a lot of questions about like how I annotate, so I'll tell you guys like what I'm going to be annotating out of this, because the thing is I don't have a good enough like idea about the story to know what I'm going to annotate. So a lot of times I'll just kind of like add as I go, which I'll tell y'all if I add any, but I know I have a couple of ideas of what I want to have annotated. I just have to go like find the colors and everything for it. So anyways, I'm going to stop talking so much. Let's pick out an annotation key, or like set up the annotation key at least, and then we'll start reading. I'm in the first paragraph, and this woman already has me highlighting stuff. We are a page in. I just finished page 1. We're a page into this book. And to be honest with you, it's giving The Never King. I don't know if you guys have read that series. And I think it's more because those books traumatized me. So, no, because it's the way that she just like subtly put in. Do y'all remember, if you guys have watched the movies, okay, this is for my movie girls, the ones with Jeremy Sumter specifically, okay, when he put his little face in a little heart thing, they're in her room. Now I need to like put a picture of it, and he puts his little heart, and he puts his little face in next to the heart thing, and he's like looking at her, and he like wiggles his eyebrows. Listen to this. I need you guys to hear this, okay? She goes, I had to move you because my dog decided that she wanted to jump up here and be heard. Okay, but listen to this. He looks down at his bare chest and puffs it up a little, flicking his eyes at me, and does this thing with his eyebrow that might make my heart go weak at the knees. If that's what she's referencing, I'm in for it. Okay, can you hear me? Do you hear what I'm saying? I am in for it. We are 8 pages in. And here's the thing. Okay, I'm going to talk into my mic for the rest of this because I like doing that. Here's the dealio, Fred. I don't know who Fred is. I'm reading this impossibly slow, and that is for a reason. I am not trying to rush through this. So this book might take me a couple of days to get through, and that's completely fine. But if there's one thing I'm going to do with the Jessa Hastings book, is I'm going to annotate the crap out of it. I'm going to tab it. I'm going to highlight. I'm going to write in it. So, I'm excited. I'm on page 11. This is going to be a spoiler, so if you haven't read it and if you want to still read it without being spoiled, I'm going to put spoiler somewhere on the screen, and I'll take it off whenever I'm done being spoilery. But I need to talk to somebody about this because Bailey is at Pilates, and so Peter just came in and we just met him, and he, like, they're talking or whatever, and he's obviously being a little weird, a little eccentric, because, you know, he's Peter Pan. He's not from the real normal world. And she has a poster of Mick Jagger. Mind you, this is like 70s London, okay? She has a poster of Mick Jagger up on her wall, and he goes up to it, and he's like, "Who's this?" And she goes, "That's Mick Jagger." And he was like, "Why do you have a picture of Mick Jagger on your wall?" And she goes, "Because he's sexy." And he goes, What is sexy?" And she goes, "Because he's pleasant to look at." And then he rips it. He takes a knife and like, I don't know why I find that so funny. That's not even the best part. And then he says he's not gonna share her. Sir, this is page 11. So a lot of the complaints that I was hearing from people was that it felt like it was reading really young. And I don't necessarily think that it's reading really young. I think that Jessa has kind of gotten to the heart of Peter Pan as a character. Because, like, if y'all don't remember from the original, like, 2001 movie or just the book, Peter is a vain little character. Like, he just wants to be told that he's doing a good job, that everything that he does is right. And so, like, his character reflects that. Like, he gets upset when people tell him that he's doing something wrong, and he hasn't had anybody check him. So I feel like how she wrote him was like how Peter would have been if he had grown up. He's 18, but hasn't been told that, like, hey, shut up and sit down. So, like, he has, like, that pride syndrome. I don't know. I don't think it's reading young at all, though. I think it's just reading how Peter would be if he grew up a little bit. But he didn't have to grow up. Does that make sense? Hey, hello. Hey, hello. Long time no see. Not really. It's been like a second for you. We're back and we're better than ever. It's been like probably almost, not necessarily a week, but like, almost a week, I guess, since I started this book. And I'm only 32 pages in. Not because the book is bad, because I've just been extremely busy and I haven't been able to read it. I got like 10 pages read yesterday, and I just thought I would give y'all my opinions so far. I'm on page 32, okay? So like really not that far. We just got to where she met, oh my gosh, what's his name? She just dropped off all of her baggage with Callan? I don't know how to say his name. Anyways, I'm really enjoying it so far. I always love Jessa Hastings' writing. Literally every time I read one of her books, I have to have a tab for just like beautiful writing, like things that I really liked how she worded and how they just, they make me feel. And I'm gonna have to add more tabs because I have 5 right now, and I'm discovering that is not enough for the feelings that Jessa Hastings' writing gives me. So I'm probably gonna have to add like, I would probably do like 2 or 3 more, which I don't think I ever showed you like what I have tabbed. So I have beautiful writing, OG Peter Pan, important, cute, and just dang. So take that with what you will. But yeah, I'm actually like highlighting and tabbing quite a bit already, which I'm super excited about. Yeah, let's just get back into it. Like I said, I'm on page 32, well, 33 technically, and loving it. So let's just keep going. I will say, I think Jessa has taken the original character of Peter Pan and done it immaculately well with how self-centered and prideful he is. And it's one of those things where, like, if you haven't read the original Peter Pan, you probably wouldn't understand it, and he would just be, like, really irritating to read about. But, like, the original Peter Pan, like, he didn't have a mom, he didn't have a dad, he didn't have anybody to tell him, what was right and what was wrong. He had no parental figure, authority, none of it. So he grew up being, like, king of the jungle. And when you have a kid growing up in a circumstance like that, they're not the best person. They're self-centered, they're forgetful. But I also think that there's this level of whimsy that Peter has about him that I really like, because it's really true to the characters. We're talking about like a retelling. This is really similar to the original story, which I really like. Just like, his head is always in the clouds and he's not, focused on rational, logical things. It's all illogical and based on feel and emotion and what interests him in that moment. And while frustrating to some degree, true to the story, very true. And I really like it. I feel like if she had done it any other way, where he was really, clever, and I feel like it would have, if you'd made him grown, if she had made him grown like an actual adult and acted like an adult, I feel like it would have taken away from the actual Peter Pan character, if that makes sense. Because, he was the boy that never grew up. Except she aged him up a little bit, and I think it was just great. I think it was like a genius choice in terms of storytelling. So, yeah, but I'm like 50 pages into it right now. Okay, y'all, a little update on Never. I didn't really get that much read yesterday, but I did get a little bit of a chunk done today. I'm on page 138. I don't know where I finished off yesterday, to be so honest with you. And let's talk about it. Let's spill the tea, okay? Because here's the thing, I'm really enjoying it. Like, okay, well, I'm really enjoying it, and I'm really enjoying the writing, and I'm really enjoying like everything. And I think like the inevitable is happening in that when you take these characters and age them up, and then you add a character like Jameson, which I'm not going to spoil anything. This isn't going to be like a spoiler or anything, but it's just like, I'm finding that overall, I just think it's really creative how Jessa has intertwined the original story with her story. I would honestly call it more like a reimagining than a retelling of Peter Pan, because while it is like super, super similar and it is basically like the same thing, it's not the same. Obviously, it's not so far away from the original story that it makes it seem other, but it's also not the original story, so it makes it, there are all these new elements into it that come into play. So I'm really enjoying it. Honestly, I can see how people wouldn't like it. And what I mean by that is just like, if you're not a diehard or just a really big fan of Peter Pan in general, and you don't understand the context for Peter Pan, then I could see how you would not like this book. Like, it makes sense. I love everything about this book because everything that Jessa is pulling, all the creatures, all the, pretty much most of the storylines, like, I can see how they would come from the original story. And it's almost like she's writing, it's really, I can't explain how her writing, like, what it feels like, but it feels nostalgic of the story without it being the story, if that makes sense. Like, it feels so similar to the original without it actually being the original. And I feel like, I don't know about y'all, but I really, really loved that because I loved the original. Like I said, like, I mean, it's one of those stories that will forever stick with me. And every time, like, I find myself writing or wanting to write or anything like that, J.M. Barrie really had the biggest impact on my creative outlets, or like how I create things. And so it's really interesting and it's really good to see it. So like I said, I could see how people dislike it. I don't see why people are hating it, I guess is a good way to put it. But no, I'm really enjoying. I need to stop like saying the same thing over and over again, but it's just really difficult because I don't want to spoil anything. But at the same time, like, I don't know, I got more to read, so I'll read more. I really want to go through this really slow is the thing, and I don't want to like rush, if that makes sense. But I feel like it's just really fun. It's a fun time. And I'm annotating, well, I'm not necessarily annotating this time around. I'm just kind of like highlighting things that I like. I think if I went and I did a reread of it, I'd probably annotate that copy. Okay, back to the reading now. Okay, so I'm on page 274, and, okay, I don't know why it's, like, so upsetting. It's not upsetting, like, I'm not upset. I just, like, if this actually is what I'm thinking it's going to be, my heart, okay, so this isn't really, like, necessarily a spoiler, more like out of context thing, but there in the movie, there was this fairy ball. And if you guys remember the 2003 version of Peter Pan, there's this scene where Peter and Wendy are looking into like the trunk of a tree, and inside of it there's a fairy ball, and it's this like super magical moment, and it's like one of the most iconic scenes in my mind when I think about this movie, and it was just so full of like hope and love, and it's like one of my earliest memories watching a movie. And so the ball just got mentioned, and while a lot of these characters are so irritating, it's just really like my young heart wanted more scenes in that fairy ball. Like I really wanted it to go in depth with the fairy ball, more in depth at least, because that was such like a magical moment, but it was so short, it was so quick. And if we do end up getting to see more of that, I will cry. Okay, I was tearing up by just like having them mention it. I'm not gonna cry on the internet today. That's just what I'm not gonna do. But like, if that's the case, I'm gonna be so happy. That'll like make this whole book a 10 out of 5-star read for me. If we get this fairy scene, this ball scene, I'm done. But I have a little less than 100 pages left of the book, so I'm gonna try to finish as much as I can before Tyler gets here. He's coming over to hang out for a little bit, and then I'll finish it whenever he leaves. Yeah, this hurts. He literally just asked her if he needed to talk to her, and she goes on this tangent about how she shouldn't have trusted him and how she can't trust him, and then he goes, so there's a council, and she goes, I may have gotten ahead of myself. Girl. Me. He made her a rock necklace. Not him falling a long time ago. Okay. Oh my gosh. If I'm about to get Alexander Hamilton right now, I'm done. I'm done. No shot. I'm really doing my best to hold it together right now, to be so honest with you. Just finished this. Okay, so here's the thing. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I think that while it didn't necessarily stay true to the stories. I feel like Peter stayed true to himself. I think Jessa did a really good job with making the story feel like it was J.M. Barrie's without making it boring. So she changed pretty much a lot about the original story, but it was in a way that made it feel real and believable. I'm not going to spoil the ending for anybody. I'm not going to like go too in depth with it. But what I will say is that like I really love that. I think so while the main characters I feel like are very, very frustrating, it's because they're very flawed and they're very real, and it makes sense, to be honest with you. Like, it makes sense. The characters that she wrote are very true to the story, and they're true to who they were in the original books. It's just, it's difficult because there really isn't a good person in the story. There isn't a hero. And it makes it difficult to want to like it. But at the same time, it's also what makes it so lovable, because it is really real and it's really raw. And I'm glad that it's a series. I don't know if it's a series or a trilogy or what, how many books are coming out in this world. I'm really glad that that's not it though, obviously, because I feel like if it was it, I would have cried. I really hate, like, I loved the ending, but I hated the ending. I think that it was kind of working up to it anyways, so it makes sense. I think the reason why the beginning of the book was so lovable for me was because it was so much like the original story. But then as you go on, there are more and more differences between the two stories. So obviously, like, it's different.